All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're digging into something, well, it's pretty provocative. It almost feels like we shouldn't be reading it, you know? Like a forbidden manual, a step-by-step guide for, well, for disaster. We're going to break down what this source calls the blueprint for national decay. So, the whole thing kicks off with this really chilling question. What is the fastest way to destroy a country? And right away, it tells you it's not what you think. It's not about invading armies or some huge economic crash. Nope. According to this blueprint, the most effective way? It's much quieter, much more insidious. It's something that rots a nation from the inside out.
Okay, so before we jump into the how-to part of this grim playbook, we've got to understand the end goal, right? What are we even talking about here? What is this architecture of collapse? What does national decay really mean?
So here's the definition the source gives, and it's so important. National decay isn't some big, loud explosion. It's not a single event you'd see on the news. It's way more subtle. The best way to think about it is it's not a building getting demolished. It's more like termites, you know? Silently eating away at the foundations, the walls, a slow, deliberate corrosion of everything holding the place together. And the most important part? It all happens from within. And that brings us to step one in this dark blueprint. Erode trust. I love how the source puts this. It calls trust the invisible infrastructure of a society. That's perfect, right? It's the hidden foundation that everything else, the economy, the government, our communities, is built on. So it makes sense. If you're going to tear the whole thing down, you start by attacking that invisible foundation. I mean, think about it in your own life. Trust is like this social glue, right? It's that unspoken belief that your neighbor probably isn't out to get you. It's the assumption that what you're reading in the news has some basis in reality, that our courts are supposed to be fair, that the money in your wallet is actually worth something. Take that away. Take away that baseline of trust, and how can anyone cooperate? Society just shatters into a million pieces. So how do you actually do that? How do you break something so fundamental? Well, this blueprint gets disturbingly specific. It's a full-on assault. You unleash a tidal wave of misinformation so nobody knows what to believe. You systematically attack the credibility of anyone who's an expert. Scientists, journalists, you name it. You make being cynical and trusting no one seem like the smart thing to do. And the whole strategy is to crank up the volume on the most extreme fringe voices and even start rewriting history. The goal? To completely dissolve any sense of a shared reality. Okay, so once that social fabric starts to fray, the blueprint moves to its next target. Now you go after the hard structures, the institutions. These are literally the guardrails of society. They're the systems we built to keep things orderly, fair, and to hold people accountable. And again, it's not about a sledgehammer. It's methodical. You don't just blow up the institutions. You hollow them out from the inside. You turn the courts into tools for a political agenda instead of a place for justice. You stop hiring the most competent people for government jobs, and instead you fill them with the most loyal. You take the free press, which is supposed to be a watchdog for all of us, and you turn it into a mouthpiece. And the final blow? You attack the very heart of democracy itself. You convince people that voting is pointless, that their voice doesn't matter. So now, trust is gone. The institutions are weak and hollowed out. And that's when the blueprint unleashes its final and honestly its most powerful weapon, division. This is the gasoline on the fire. The goal is just to fuel the flames of polarization until the whole country is just burning with conflict, turning on itself. You know that old saying, a house divided against itself cannot stand? Well, in this playbook, that's not a warning. It's the mission statement. It is the strategic goal. You want to get people to stop seeing each other as neighbors who just disagree on things and start seeing them as the enemy, as mortal threats. And this is what completely destroys any hope of healthy debate. Look at the difference. In a healthy society, the goal is to try and understand each other. But in this toxic model, the goal is total victory, nothing less. Healthy debate uses compromise and actually listening. The toxic version, it's all about demonizing the other side and creating gridlock. One focuses on ideas and policy, while the other is just about raw tribal identity, us versus them. And the result? You don't get progress. You just get a country that's paralyzed and simmering with resentment. There's this quote in the source material that it hits hard. A nation does not fall to outside invaders, but to insiders who learn how to set their own house on fire. Wow. And that right there, that's the real turning point here. It makes you ask the big question. Why on earth are we even looking at a blueprint like this? Who would want this? And here's the answer. It's because this isn't an instruction manual. It's a warning. It is a massive, flashing red light cautionary tale.
Think about it. The only reason you'd ever study a blueprint for how to destroy something is so you can learn how to defend it. By understanding exactly how a nation can be attacked from within, we can figure out how to protect it.
And that's the big takeaway, the twist at the end. The blueprint for decay is also the blueprint for resilience. It's like a mirror image. If their plan is to erode trust, then our job is to build trust. If they want to weaken our institutions, then we have to strengthen them. We can literally just reverse engineer this whole terrifying plan and turn it into something positive.
And believe me, the stakes could not be higher. The source runs a hypothetical number that's just staggering. It suggests that a society following this playbook for just 2 decades could see a 71% drop in trust between citizens. Just stop and think about that for a second. Imagine living in a place where nearly 3 out of every 4 people you meet, you just don't trust them. What would that even look like?
So what's our counter blueprint? What do we do? Well, it's pretty simple, really. You do the exact opposite of everything we just talked about. It means you go out of your way to support credible journalism. It means making a conscious choice not to see people you disagree with as evil and instead trying to engage in good faith debate. It means standing up and defending the independence of our institutions. And maybe, just maybe, the most important thing, it means getting offline and rebuilding those real, local, face-to-face community ties that really hold us all together.
And that leaves us with one last, really essential question. This source material, it's laid out in chilling detail the blueprint for how a country fails. So the challenge for you, for me, for all of us, is to flip that question around. What's our blueprint for how it succeeds?